Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Stay.
Good morning to you. It's Wednesday the 13th of November. This is Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. SNP members have been throwing the hat in the ring to stand at the next Scottish elections in 2026, including leader of the SNP at Westminster, Stephen Flynn.
I want to be on the front line as we are dealing with the big issues that impact the people of Scotland. So I believe that I can contribute to the debate within Holyrood. I believe that I can assist our party and our brilliant First Minister, John Swinney, and it's on that basis that I've decided to put myself forward.
Well, Mr Flynn has also confirmed that he will continue to serve as an MP as well as an MSP, despite Conservative leader Douglas Ross being criticised for doing the same thing. That depends if he gets elected, of course. Are you happy for your MSP to double up with being an MP? Can they do both jobs at the same time? 08085 92 95 00 is the number to call. Also coming up...
Wait. What's the first line again?
Help.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2.
Help!
No, wait.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I need somebody. Not just
Our weekly consumer surgery. So if you feel you've been ripped off, you're struggling to get a refund, or you just don't know your rights in a particular consumer situation, then do get in touch. We have Which consumer expert Lisa Webb with us this week, and she is standing by waiting for your call. 08085 92 95 00. You can leave a voice note or a WhatsApp message on that number, or you can text 80295. It's 10 years since British troops pulled out of Afghanistan.
I felt grown up, but looking back, I look at pictures of me at 18 and go, oh my God, I was a child.
Well, a new film revisits some of the serving soldiers and reveals footage from their body cams. We'll be speaking to the director. And our humdrum conundrum this week.
Was I wrong to start dating my best friend's brother?
is everywhere on BBC Radio Scotland.
Up, folks, Karen McKenzie is heading in with her humdrum conundrum straight after the Scissor Sisters. talking of the Scissor Sisters and all things of female power, she's back. There you go.
Y'all. Welcome back. And that's a fact, y'all.
I wondered what scissors, right? Cut you in half, stab you in the back. What would it be?
Well, you said it. I didn't say that. I was
I'm
putting you
trying
up.
to second guess you.
I was putting you up as a symbol of female power. Anyway, I'm glad you came in because I thought it was time. Eva Tyson in Dalgety Bay has just got in touch about cleaning the Augean stables, and I thought that's something that you'd like to pick up on.
Talking about your dirty house.
No, but, just explain the sort of classical meaning of cleaning the Augean stables.
Well, luckily I heard the programme on my way in the bike. So it's basically sorting out the dirtiness in your area. That's the best way I can explain it.
I'd never heard of it, to be perfectly honest.
No,
Eva
I think you might
tells
have made
us
it up, actually.
that cleaning the Augean stables is one of the labours of Hercules.
That bit... Actually, do you know what? I'd have called it Augean, not even Augean. So there you are. Are you sure you're right in pronunciation?
Well, I don't actually. Thank goodness we have got Dave Chawner with us because he's young, he's cerebral, he's intellectual, he knows all of these things. And I know that he has all of these things. Morning, Dave, because just before he came on, he moved the Sports Direct mug that was sitting on his windowsill.
Oh! He's trying to look more classy.
He was. He was.
The sign of a true intellectual. They have these in Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge,
they're hideous.
Edinburgh University, St Andrews.
They're too big and they're nasty, and I don't like a cup like that, a mug like that.
Okay. Give the guy a break.
Oh, Dave can sort himself out. Dave can speak for himself.
Oh,
I don't think it's him.
Nice to see you, Dave. How are you?
Lovely to see you. Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. I know I was giggling to myself because as we were getting set up and we've got you up here on the monitor, I was looking at it, I thought, I didn't think Dave was much of a Sports Direct kind of guy. And then I just saw you very quietly remove it to out of shot. And I thought, Dave doesn't think that Dave's a Sports Direct guy either.
It's the kind of mug that you keep pens in, and then pencils, and then dead flies would be lying in the bottom of them because they've never been dusted out.
The truth of the matter is, it's actually my partner's mug because she drinks so much coffee that she needs to drink essentially out of what is a flower pot. You are absolutely right. Most people would keep pens in it.
Yes.
Flower pot,
yeah,
I like
that's
that.
the best it can.
Right. This is a good conundrum today. In fact, we've got text in it already just because we've given people a little preview of what it is all about. They've not heard the full conundrum. But so are you both ready?
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
Yes.
I've been best friends with Carl for over 15 years now, ever since we met at high school. We've always been there for each other through the highs and lows of life. Her brother David is a couple of years older than us. She's very close with him and we'd often hang out together when we were younger. A few months ago I bumped into David on a night out. We started messaging a lot more after that and eventually started secretly dating. Carl mentioned that when we were younger that I shouldn't date her brother, but I kind of assumed it was just a teen thing. But I was wrong apparently, and maybe I left it too long, but when we told her a couple of months later, once we were sure it was a real relationship, well, she took it badly. She said this put her in an impossible situation if we ever broke up, and she hasn't spoken to me or David in a week. Was I wrong to start dating my best friend's brother?
Well, I would say in a word, yes, but I don't know what you two guys think. What do you think?
No, I don't think it's wrong at all. I mean, without making it sound a bit weird, it's kind of.
I mean, it's any port in a storm for you, isn't it? Let's face it, Dave.
I think you're projecting your own things onto me. No,
you laugh too hard.
No, I know.
True.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, what concerns me is that why was she warned off it like years ago? That's just a bit weird, isn't it? Don't
But
you
that's
get
the
near my
point.
brother? Yeah,
That's-
but why? Why would you do that? What's being hidden there?
Well, but tackle that at the time. What do you think, Dave?
No, because there were teenagers then.
I think Karen makes a really prescient point because
that's the end.
actually they started dating in secret, which shows that there is more to this. They know that it is wrong because if you do something that you know is fine, you don't keep it from people. You don't secretly do it all cloak and dagger. So
They know
I
it's
think there
wrong
is
for who? It's not wrong
Sorry?
for them. You're saying they know it's wrong. They know it's wrong for who? It's not wrong for them. What?
You don't know. This person says it puts them in an impossible situation if ever they break up.
Yeah,
There's also
fair
kind
point.
of a ripple effect as well, that if they do break up, it's not only it's their shared friends, their shared families. If they've known each other for over a decade and a half, there's going to be real repercussions.
But that's the good thing. They've known each other for years, so at least you're not coming into a new relationship thinking, oh, God, you know, what's behind this bloke? We don't know him. What you just want is
But you're just bending the story to get the outcome
not.
that you want. The fact is that this woman knew from her friend of long standing that she wasn't happy with her dating her brother.
Yes,
she
why?
knew that fact. Well, perhaps she should have asked that question at the time and said why, but she had that knowledge and yet proceeded to do it in that
Years
full
later.
knowledge. Well, doesn't matter. She knew that the woman didn't want her to do it. She proceeded to do it.
nothing to do
She
with
proceeded
her.
to do it despite the fact she knew her friend wasn't comfortable. She should have said, look, I know you said years ago that you're not comfortable with me and Dave, but actually I quite fancy him. Then whatever happens, happens. But no, she just ignores that piece
Well,
of
that's because
knowledge.
it wasn't even-
Ignores that piece of knowledge and proceeds to do it in secret. She's a sneaky Pete, isn't she, Dave?
An absolute sneaky Pete. And I would also quite like to add to that very good point that the way that they've handled this so far shows that they're not going to handle things going forward any better either. So it's never going to end well.
oh my God, you're so negative, the pair of you.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a short life, live and let live. You
To
know
hell
what?
with anyone else and what they think.
Exactly. I'm out of here now. No, not at all. I mean, they've known the family for years and years and years, right? Why can't they just be civil about it, the sister, and say, oh, isn't it so lovely? Because you know what? Clearly, he's my brother. I love him so much. I know all his good qualities. And I'm really glad he's chosen somebody so special like yourself.
Why can't you just agree with what I want and let me do whatever I want and
Yeah.
stop putting obstacles in my way that I don't like?
Are you being me? Are you?
Yes, yes, I am.
No, I don't think it's very mature
And the
of,
thing is-
of the sister.
Why does romance always trump a friendship? If you've
Yes.
got a friendship with somebody that is going back decades that you value, why, when the first guy who says, come on, do you fancy, comes along, do you dump the friendship?
You've just forgotten what romance is.
Do tell.
Well, listen to you. You're so
You
hard-faced.
tell us what romance is.
No, I thought you meant about you. Just to feel alive, Kay.
Dave.
Don't know if that is the most beautiful or most pessimistic thing I've ever heard in my life.
She's
My
opened her heart
palms
to
have gone
us.
sweaty, can I just say? I think I'm on a slippery slope here myself.
I think, look, it's a modern Romeo and Juliet, and look how it worked out for them. Never worked out well. I'm absolutely on the side here of, I think you're absolutely right. Why should romance trump friendship? Whenever you break up with someone, you always say, oh, there's plenty more fish in the sea. When you, like, sort of stop a friendship, there's no equivalent argument for that. I would say making friends is harder as you get older than actually having a romantic relationship.
I think you're right. I'll give you that. And actually, your friends are always there. Relationships aren't, are
Yeah.
they?
So what would you have done in this situation, though, then, Karen? If you had known that your friend of long standing really didn't want you going out with
Well-
her brother, but you quite fancied him because
I think
you were
I would-
cracking on a little bit and there weren't that many fish left in the sea.
I think I'd have to say, remember when we were in primary one, you said you didn't want me to go out with your brother.
Invented facts again, Dave. Can you note that
Great.
down?
I love this.
And the sister said, let me just think. Did I say that? Oh, yeah, I might have said that. I think you'd have to say, remind me why you didn't want me to go out with your brother. And I think that's probably the way of saying it. And when...
But then if she said, well, the reason that I really don't want
what
you
would
to
that
go out
be?
with my brother...
Because I'm really close to my brother and I want him to make sure that, you know, that, I don't know, why...
No, is I really value our friendship and you're really important to me and I really value my brother. You are the two key relationships in my life.
That makes no sense.
And if you two fall out in the future, which might well happen,
true.
my loyalties will be divided, I will feel torn, and therefore these two pillars of my life, these two foundations on which I build my emotional strength, will be shattered.
Right,
and,
okay, you can
and
stop
therefore...
now. The middle bit I agree with. Then you started to witter. No, you lost me and the audience, I think. So I agree with the middle bit, can't remember what it was. But the first bit's rubbish and the second bit, well, and often some. So, yeah, there we are, I can't remember.
I want film reviews from Karen. I think that's a brilliant... the middle bit was good, and get rid of the start at the end. It's great.
But be honest, Dave, would you absolutely abide by a friend or a close family member or someone within your circle saying, Dave, please just don't go there?
You know what? I think I would. And the reason being, that person knows me and knows the other person probably better than anybody else. So it actually got quite, you're speaking from experience, you're speaking from expertise, you're speaking from having walked miles in those shoes. So that person will be like, look, I can think there'll be an initial attraction, but you are both, I don't know, very pedantic. You both don't let things go. It would be like two storm fronts colliding.
Yeah, but that's up to them to sort out, isn't it, Dave? Do you not think it's up to them?
But it's only gonna end badly.
But you don't know that, and it's not been given a chance. If it's for the sister, she's absolutely not having it at all. She's not even speaking to either of them. How mature is that?
Well, because I think what she's done is created a power vacuum. She's like, look, this is all going to crumble. I will be there to pick up the pieces.
Well, I think we'll end that discussion on which is always a good way to round things up, I feel. Dave, thank you very much. Dave Chawner, in answer to the question, was I wrong to start dating my best friend's brother? Dave says, yes, you were wrong, actually. You knew that you shouldn't have gone there, and yet you proceeded with your tackety boots to go there. Karen says,
life is short, and you know the people, you know both involved.
To hell with the consequences.
No, that's not...
80295. Tell us what you think. Have you been in this situation? It might not be your brother, it might not be a friend, but just someone in your close circle that either you have said, please don't go there, and they did, or you have been warned not to go there and you did. Whatever. Share your stories. 80295. Thanks, Dave. See you soon.
Join. Good, yes.
And I was wearing a red T-shirt.
Yeah.
Now, this red T-shirt that I was wearing is by a designer called Eric Emanuel, I believe.
Right. Morning, Eric.
And it's a red T-shirt with his logo on, which is two E's.
Makes sense.
That's his name.
It's not the mobile phone people, it's Eric.
Yesterday, Captain Crabbeard said, when he walked into the studio, I really like your T-shirt. I like that.
That's nice.
And I said, oh, thanks, man. Anyway, I spoke to Tiff later on in the day, and I said, you were listening to the show this morning, Nice Nerdy? She goes, I watched it. I said, did you? She goes, yeah, I watched the show.
Oh, nice.
You're wearing a red T-shirt. You're wearing a really bright red T-shirt in a green studio.
Oh. Oh.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
Everyone's a critic.
But here's the thing. When she was telling me this, I was still wearing the T-shirt. You were...
Miles Show. Have you seen the time? It's time to get back to the fun.
Why does romance always...
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess...
Trump friendship? I don't think it should, really, should it? Well, I don't know. We're asking for your views, 80295. But does romance always trump friendship? Trump, I've used the Trump word. 80295. It is 10:25. Still to come this morning, we've got our consumer surgery. We've got Which consumer expert Lisa Webb with us. So anything at all that you are having problems with, whether it's getting a refund or just being entirely sure about what rights you have, doesn't matter if it's in the online world or in the real world, Lisa can help you out. So get in touch. You can call on 08085 92 95 00, leave a voice note on that number or a WhatsApp message, or you can text 80295. Also coming up this morning, it's 10 years on from British troops leaving Afghanistan.
When it went off, I thought I was dead. Kind of have a gist of what happened, but I've got no memory of it because for whatever reason, you know, like your brain's like completely shut off from what happened to you in that moment.
We'll be speaking to the director of a new film which revisits some of the serving soldiers at that time and reveals footage from their body cams. Right now, it is back to the music.
Everyone, stop what you're doing. It's time to get back to the
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
10 years since British troops withdrew from Afghanistan, and tonight on BBC Three, a new film revisits some of the soldiers who took part in that conflict. It uses footage taken from body-worn cameras, and which featured in an earlier series called Our War. I'm joined now by the director and producer Shan McElwain. Good morning to you, Shan.
Hi, Kay.
Good morning. That earlier series, Our War, I believe you watched when you were at university.
Yeah, I watched it when it came out. So I was about the same age as some of the soldiers that you see sort of on the head cams in Afghanistan. So yeah, quite when they were getting ready to go to Afghanistan, I was getting ready to go to uni in Glasgow, so quite different.
Can you tell us what was so unique about that particular series, and the footage that you mentioned there was key to it, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think, do you know what, it was the first time probably in history where you had footage from the front line sort of filmed just only by the soldiers themselves, not war journalists. It was just them. They sort of had the very early GoPros that they would stick onto their helmets. So it was a really eye-opening experience to see it from, you know, not even the officers or the military leadership, just from the ground, from those infantrymen themselves. So it was really groundbreaking in that way. And I think, you know, today we're used to seeing a lot of stuff on the internet from war all around the world. But that was the first time that we really got to see it.
And what were your impressions of it at the time? Can you remember watching it as a viewer rather than a professional, and as a contemporary of a lot of the young people involved?
Well, I think I remember thinking at the time that I don't think I registered how young they were. I thought they were all sort of adults, and you know, when they're in their camo, they sort of look like soldiers. And then when I went back and watched it recently, just at the beginning of this, I was really taken aback by, oh my goodness, these men were boys, actually. I mean, some of them in the footage didn't even look like they'd hit puberty yet. It was really shocking, actually.
And of course, your film has gone back and spoken again to some of those soldiers that featured. What were their recollections then, 10 years on?
Well, all quite different. I think I think their lives have all changed now since being a soldier. Some have gone off and they're teachers now. Others sort of work in construction, and then only one or two are still in the army. And I think it's not something that they look back on regularly. It's quite a difficult period for a lot of people, but also one that they remember really fondly. So there's a lot of nuance in their memories of, oh, it was the best time of my life, but it was also the worst time of my life, and it completely shaped who I was. So I think that was really interesting, exploring those different feelings about it.
Well, what is it that you were trying to do with the film then, 10 years on?
I think what I was really trying to do, and how I tried to approach it, is to just give a sort of honest look at how those memories shape those soldiers today, and how does memory change us and what we take from it. And I think, you know, especially with veterans, we know there's a lot of PTSD and issues that comes with war, and you definitely see some of that on screen, but not as head on as that. I was trying to explore what were the good things about it and what were the bad things about it. And, you know, in my research and with speaking to so many men who'd been in the original series, I think there was 6 episodes originally, they all said they would go back. And that was something I really sort of was surprised at. And I was trying to dig into that. Well, what is the thing you want to go back to?
And what was the answer to that? Because I think that will surprise people.
I think, I mean, it's different for everyone. I think... I think that I can't really answer generally, but I think one of the big things is that sort of sense of purpose that we all look for. It doesn't matter if we've been in the army or what we do, but this sense of belonging and being part of something bigger, I think that's really impactful. And when that leaves you, it's something that you're always searching for again.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because, you know, at a kind of helicopter level, if you like, war is bad. Everyone would say war is bad. It's never something that you're going to support. And actually going into individual experiences as you have, to have people say that actually there were positives for them as individuals to come out in that period, it can be a bit jarring, can't it?
Yeah, completely. And I think, we all know that war is bad. Like, no one wants war, and I think that's obvious to see. But also, we can't underplay those contradictions of life itself in any case. But also, why do veterans come away with so much PTSD and not just from the things they've seen, but the things they've lost, which is that sense of belonging, that sense of being part of something bigger. And I think we can only start to help people who've been through that when we understand what that is. And I think, Afghanistan really wasn't that long ago. We did only pull out 10 years ago. So those men are still young. They're still in their 30s. And it's something that we should come back to, because we've seen before with things like the Falklands and stuff, that those experiences of war don't ever leave you.
And I take it some of them had experienced really, really difficult circumstances and seen some really dreadful things.
Oh, yeah, completely. And I think you sort of see some of that in the headcam footage. And, it really is. I think it's incredibly shocking, some of the things they experienced. And I was just trying to understand what their emotions were at the time. And how they remember it now. I think what the first documentaries did, which was amazing, was told a big story of what was happening in Afghanistan at the time. I think what this sort of tries to do is look at the emotions of that and how that sort of changes you as a person. I think when you watch some of the headcam footage, it just really is, gosh, it's like, it's so immersive. It's hard to take your eyes away from, even though it's incredibly shocking.
And I guess what some people might find a little bit uncomfortable is that they obviously had to hype themselves up, to go into battle with the enemy. And so you do hear real expressions of, get the bad guys, don't you?
Yeah, and I think, when you're, a lot of those guys who were out there are 18, 19 at the time. So the bad guy is the Taliban, and they are not easy to identify. Some of them say they never actually even saw the Taliban when they were there because they were so well hidden. So it's not, the bad guy for them is definitely something that's not easily identifiable. And that I think the fear from that as well is sort of can be downplayed a lot.
And did they have feelings, did any of them have strong feelings about where Afghanistan is now, that the Taliban is in charge of Afghanistan after all of that?
I think each soldier has different feelings on it, and we don't really go into the documentary, but, I think for them, for all of them watching it back home, it was incredibly impactful, and something that won't leave them is seeing that footage on the news, 8 years on when Kabul fell. And I think that was a reason to go back and speak to them, definitely. But they, a lot of them say, we're infantrymen. That's not, politics isn't our job. You go there to fight for the man beside you, not for the politics of it. And that's what this is really about, I think.
So where can we see it? When can we see it?
Well, it's on BBC 3 tonight at 9 p.m. and BBC 2 tomorrow night at 9, and it's on BBC iPlayer now, along with 3 episodes from the original series.
Right, and the name of the documentary?
Is Our War 10 Years On.
Our War 10 Years On. Sian, thank you very much indeed. Our War 10 Years On. You can find it on the BBC iPlayer.
Get in touch with more Epic Radio.
Telephone on BBC Radio Scotland.
Lisa Webb from Which, our consumer expert, is here after this. Get your questions in. Here's Hue and Cry.
It's something different about you, girl. There's something different about you. not easy and she's not cheap. No man owns her after buying her a drink. She'll dance with you fast or slow. Get it out of your mind, you ain't taking her home. No, no, there's something different. Something different. There's something different about you. About her. There's something different. Something different. There's something different about you. I want y'all to know. Now my life don't feel the same ever since I found out her name. Since we met, we haven't been apart. I walk and talk to myself in the dark. All you women that's got it like that. All you women, let me hear you shout, girls, where you at? That's where it's at. Now if you find pretty as that, if you find ain't got the love that makes him come back, say it. There's something different. Oh, there's something different about you. My baby. She got me rocking and reeling, yeah. There's something different. Something different. Oh, there's something different about you. Yeah. There's something different. Something different. There's something different about that girl. Yeah. There's something got me different. Turning on the stove. There's something thinking that it's the radio. Yes, it is. Yeah. Mel Withers, you tell them. She's not easy and she's not cheap. No, no, no. No man owns her after buying her dream. No. She'll dance with you fast and slow. Yes, she will. Get it out of your mind, cause you won't take her home. Something about her. Something different. Something different. Something different about you. There's something different about you, baby. Yes, it got is. Got me pouring salt in my coffee. There's something different. There's something different about you. Got me walking and talking to myself, yeah. There's something different. There's something different. Got me looking for in the daytime with a flashlight. Oh, there's something different. Something different. There's something different about you. Got me making decisions. I don't know if they're wrong or right. There's something different about you. Oh, she got my mind all messed up. There's something I don't know what kind of love she's got. Different about you. But it's got me all messed up. There's something different. There's something different about you. Something about that lady. Yeah, yeah. There's something different. That drives me crazy. There's something different. Something different. There's something different about you. No, 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 no. There's something different. Tell me.
10:42, this is Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. It is Wednesday, so we have our consumer surgery this morning. Martin James isn't able to be with us this week, but we're delighted to have Which consumer expert Lisa Webb with us to answer any questions that you have. So whether you're looking for a refund, you bought something that is a dud, it's a service you've bought, whether it's insurance or energy supplies, was very popular, some kind of telephone contract, whatever it is, Lisa is here to help. You can give her a call on 08085 92 95 00. Leave a voice note on that or a WhatsApp message, or you can text 80295. The lines are open now. Lisa will be taking calls from 11, but as I say, always best to get in touch in advance, and we can make sure that you get through to Lisa. Morning to you, Lisa.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. You're a bit of a consumer crusader, aren't you? I mean, you've been with Which for quite a long time. You studied consumer law before that, am I right?
Yeah, so I'm a lawyer by trade, but I happen to also do a little bit of everything for Which. So, yeah, I've been around Which for years and years now, but I'm just keeping the seat warm for the marvellous Martin. He'll be back shortly.
What is it that engages you about this area of, well, you're not going to be giving legal advice, just to make that clear to people, but this area of consumer rights?
I think it's the fact that it impacts absolutely everybody. Everybody in this country is a consumer in one form or another. And the thing that I think really outrages everyone is when something feels unfair. So if you've got a way of fixing that, or you understand your rights well enough to be able to make sure you don't get taken advantage of, then I think that's a great thing.
I would imagine, there are kind of almost fashions is probably the wrong word, but as time goes on, there will be particular areas that people are having issues with that become really sort of contentious. And with Which, one of the great things that you do is you kind of chart that, don't you? What are the things right now that your members are getting in touch with you about?
Well, actually, one of the big campaigns that we're running at the moment is around insurance and the fact that people are not getting the service they need from insurance. So we've got a big campaign called End the Insurance Rip-Off, because we're having so many people tell us that they're having issues with insurance companies, with the cost of insurance, but also claiming on insurance when it comes to that. And the thing with insurance is that you need it at such an awful time. It's such a stressful time when you actually need to come to use it. You might have had a car accident, you might have had a flood, you might have had a fire. And so really, when you're paying all that money for something, you want it to work. And sadly, at the moment, we're finding that the insurance industry as a whole is really failing people.
One of the things that we've been talking about quite a lot this week, and this was based really on a panorama that went out on Monday night about smart meters that had identified what they called a north-south divide based on the sort of connection network that is used across the country that doesn't seem to be as good in Scotland and the north of England as it is in the southeast, and so many people having problems with their smart meters, like not talking to each other, not talking to home base, etc., just not doing what they're supposed to be doing. If people are in that situation, do they have any redress?
Well, you know what? Your energy supplier is meant to be looking after you, and they're meant to be making sure that your smart meter does what it's meant to do. Now, I'm based in Wales. You might be able to tell from the accent. I'm not in the southeast bubble. And I think very often we do, when we're not in that London-centric bubble, we can sometimes feel like we're being a bit left out. We're not included in news, or we're not included in facts and figures. So it's really stark to see that north-south divide. And it's a real issue that needs to be addressed, I think, because if energy companies aren't doing enough to make sure that their consumers are getting the service they need, then actually I think it's time that the ombudsman or the regulator steps in and does something about it. But there is an ombudsman who is able to help if you're having issues with your energy company. So that's always something to bear in mind.
Yeah, and it's knowing that pathway that I think is so important. And you obviously know Martin, and he's great at sort of outlining for people what their pathway is, because regardless of what the industry is, I think a common theme that we get is customer service. Now, whether it is something with airlines or with your energy company or with something else, identifying a problem is one thing. Even, being able to say this is definitely something that I do have a legitimate case on. But speaking to somebody and actually sorting it out, well, that's a whole different ballgame, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the customer service within the energy sector is frankly diabolical. And we've seen this for years. And we know that people really struggle to just get answers, to get someone to pick up the phone or to reply to an email. So it is something that we hear an awful lot about, particularly when it comes to people trying to report any sort of issue, whether that's smart meters or something else. People feel like they're passed from pillar to post, or they feel like they're not getting straight answers. So it is really, really important, particularly in a sector that is essential, like energy, that the companies do much, much more to ensure that their customer service is actually usable.
And for people who don't feel as comfortable in a digital space, I think it becomes even more difficult for them, doesn't it?
I agree. And I think smart meters in particular can sometimes leave people feeling a bit cold. They feel like, I don't really understand how this works. So I don't really understand how to make sure it's doing the right thing. I don't know what I'm meant to expect from it. And technology can be really daunting for some people. Yes, of course, it does brilliant things too. But for some people, they can feel like they're being left behind or left out. And it's important that those people are not ignored or forgotten.
Well, that's why we do our consumer surgery, and that's why you're here, Lisa, and I'm really glad that you've joined us, our consumer crusader. I don't know if I can call you the caped consumer crusader. No, I can't, because I can't get the words out, so I'm going to dump that. But Lisa is here to help. So any questions you have about a situation that you're just tearing your hair out, you say, look, I paid my money here and I'm just not getting the service or the goods that I was expecting, then do get in touch. 08085 92 95 00 is the number to call. Leave a voice note or a WhatsApp message if you prefer, but always better to just pick up the phone, or you can text 80295. Lisa, thanks very much. We'll speak to you in about 15 minutes or so.
Following Scotland's...
It's fun and it rocks. It's church like you've never experienced. Impact of Huntsville. If you love God and you're sick of religion, check us out. Nothing religious, just the real deal about God. The music is tight. Come as you are. There's no cover charge. Jesus will be there in jeans. It's a party every Sunday at 10 a.m. More fun than you thought was legal in church. Impact of Huntsville. Rockin' music, relevant messages, and personal ministry.
It is just coming up to 10 to 11. Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. We're about to talk about whether or not you trust your mental health to a chatbot. And of course, there is still time to get your verdict in on this.
Was I wrong to start dating my best friend's brother?
BBC Radio Scotland.
Me, Connie McLaughlin. Hi, me, Zara Janjua. BBC Radio Scotland.
The Chris Miles Show.
Now, if you are struggling with your mental health, but you can't afford to, or you just cannot get an appointment with an NHS therapist, would you consider talking to a chatbot? Increasingly, AI technology is being employed in NHS mental health services to allow more people access to treatment. John Tench is the Managing Director of the app Wiser, which is one of those on offer. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Kay.
Good morning. Well, maybe just explain what this service is. I mean, you will probably appreciate that initially people might think, my goodness, this is such a sensitive area. I'm not going to speak to some bot about it. But do tell us what you can offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wiser in general is an AI-powered mental health platform. And as you just said, we use a chatbot to provide anonymous, judgment-free mental health support and a space for people to have conversation. Within the NHS, so we work with adults talking therapy services and we work with children's mental health services as well. So we've just surpassed 200,000 people for adult services and a few thousand for CYP. So that's our kind of biggest user base within health services. And what Wiser does is essentially supports patients whilst they're on waiting lists with a safe space and judgment-free space to communicate. But we also leverage the technology to support clinicians delivering mental health services too.
Right. So is it kind of keeping people in a holding pattern? Is that what we're talking about?
So we use it as prevention up front. So before people make contact with mental health services, they can use Wiser to talk about any difficulties in their mental health. We also use the technology to help get people into services, so make a digital referral into mental health services. And then, yes, for the app specifically, we use that whilst people are on waiting lists and sort of as an accompaniment to their treatment pathway too.
So someone going to the NHS to try and access mental health treatment may well be prescribed, if you like, a chatbot, either yours or a similar one, as a sort of preliminary gateway, if you like, to the service.
So I wouldn't use prescribed specifically at the minute as a kind of gateway into the service, but people would be offered support via the mental health chatbot just whilst they're in those waiting periods for assessment and as an accompaniment to their treatment. So ours at the minute doesn't specifically deliver treatment for specific interventions, but what it does is support people with a range of difficulties that are kind of what we call transdiagnostic. So things that show up across lots of different mental health difficulties, such as sleep, routine, work stress, etc. So they get that support alongside their treatment pathway. And what we find is engaging with the chatbot in that way actually helps people to engage in their treatment with their clinician better as well.
Right. So can you give us an example, a scenario, if you like? I mean, you know, what kind of person with what kind of issues and what kind of conversation or guidance would they get from the chatbot?
Yeah, okay. I'll use something we're doing in Scotland, actually, with NHS Lothian and NHS Fife. So we won the Mental Health Innovation Challenge with the Scottish Government to support children and young people into CAMHS services. And what we've designed is a way that we can give out the Wiser app at school, and then the young person has a conversation with it. In terms of the topics for that, they can have conversations with it about pretty much anything. It does have safeguards built into it. We find that the most popular kind of language used and conversations within the app are about schoolwork and stress. Whilst the young person is using the app every 2 weeks, the app asks the young person to check in. There's a couple of questions set by the health service at Fife and Lothian. And if the young person scores on that, suggests that they may benefit from talking to another person, doesn't specifically need to be a mental health professional, then the app offers the young person a chance to submit their details into sort of the school's early intervention service, for example. So they can have any conversation in there. There's a risk detection in there to make sure that there are kind of safeguards in place. And we find that most young people use it sort of before school, but between kind of 8 and 11 p.m. at night to have their conversations.
And, you know, is there any evaluation being carried out of your app, of other apps, of the use of AI in mental health services?
Yeah, absolutely. So NICE have previously done early evaluation assessments on impacts for specific conditions using digital services. There's currently scoping underway for NICE to evaluate digital front doors as an entry point to mental health services. And the NHS itself has a set of regulations around digital technologies, standards that we all have to meet to be able to operate in the health service as well. In addition to that, we are on our 37th peer-reviewed publication with Wiser as well. So we work with universities globally, as others do. We've done randomized control trials with Harvard, University of Washington, and we're having a paper written at the minute for one here in West London.
I mean, I guess people's fears would be that this is rolled out and is used as a substitute for human connection. I mean, can it do the same job as a real-life therapist?
So for some people, the level of kind of care that they need at the point of reaching out can be dealt with by digital technologies. I mean, AI is another layer onto that, but digital support for mental health has been around for a really long time. We absolutely don't come at this from a place of replacing clinicians in the slightest. So my answer to that is no. What we do is we adapt the technology to actually support clinicians to scale up how many people they can support and the types of kind of interventions that they can do. So we use Wiser, as I said, with the children's projects in Fife and Lothian. The whole point of our AI, the whole point of getting young people to open up is actually to connect them to other people, which is the best place for them to be.
And where does the chatbot is such a sort of strange word, but I mean, where does the intelligence come from? I mean, this is artificial intelligence, but of course you have to draw on a reservoir of intelligence in order to sort of put it into an app, don't you? Where does it come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our AI is something called closed AI, and essentially what that means is that it doesn't search the internet for that content that you were just talking about, Kay. So when somebody has a conversation with Wiser, it accesses our clinical database, which is all scripts written by our clinical teams here. So at the minute, especially for the CYP projects in Scotland, every response you get from Wiser basically comes from our clinical team with sort of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of variations of how those sentences can kind of appear to the user. And all of them pass a kind of 50-point checklist for risk before they go out. But for us, all of that knowledge and logic is written kind of in-house.
Right, so you can kind of verify and kind of back up all of the information and advice that is being given through the app, yeah.
Yeah, correct. And we can also audit it as well. So we audit it every year to check the accuracy of how the AI is picking up the kind of problem descriptor that people are putting in, and that the responses that the AI gives out are appropriate as well. And we have a team of clinicians that do that.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting development. I think we know that AI is going to be ever more present within healthcare across a number of fields. So, John, listen, thank you very much for explaining it to us. John Tench, Managing Director of Wiser.
Across Scotland.